Hello, financial mathematics students. Today we're going to be going over the Unit 3 activity. It mostly has to do with saving money and how that money compounds, and also retirement accounts and how those work. So let's go ahead and get started. And so go ahead and open the Unit 3 activity. And let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen here. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and read this situation here. For three years ago, Isabel got her first job after graduating from college. Once she began earning a steady monthly income, she decided to start saving for a new car. To help her stay on track with her savings, Isabel set up a savings account at her bank and arranged to automatically transfer money into it. On the 15th of every month, the bank transfers $200 from her checking account to her savings account. The interest on her savings account is 1.7% compounded monthly. Okay, so there's some information we definitely want to write down from this. So a couple things. First, the amount she's saving each month. So she's saving $200 a month. So I'm going to go ahead and put $200 a month. Okay. Also, the amount of interest she gets for the savings account is 1.7%. Okay, that's important. And it says compounded monthly. So we want to put that as well. So $200 a month, 1.7% interest rate compounded monthly. These are all important aspects to this account. Also, that she's making contributions for 3 years. That's mentioned in the very first part there, 3 years ago. Okay, so the amount of time that she's doing this is 3 years. So that's going to be an important aspect to this problem as well. Okay. Which term best describes the savings account that Isabel has set up given its purpose? Okay, it's not an emergency fund. She's saving it for a specific purpose, saving a car. So that would not be an emergency fund. A mutual fund, no, it's not like an investment where she's putting into a mutual fund and having it done that way. It's not a rainy day fund. It's a sinking fund. Okay. Let's go and look at the next problem. So now, after the 3 years of saving $200 a month, Isabel is shopping for her new car. She identified 6 models she likes at a local dealership. The table lists the down payment she would need to make on each car to make the monthly payments within her budget. Assume that she's using only the money accumulated in her savings account to make the down payment. Use this information and the appropriate time value of money formula to select all the cars that are within Isabel's budget. So a couple things you're going to want. One is a calculator. A scientific calculator like this is going to be a lot more useful than like another calculator. Yeah, you want a calculator in hand. A decent scientific calculator is good, or a finance calculator. And and you're going to want some paper and pencil to write down numbers. Okay, but let's go and click on this link here. This will give us some of the formulas, and hopefully you've seen these formulas throughout the unit. But let's go ahead and click on that. And we want to figure out which formula we want to use. So for this one, we want to figure out basically how much money she has saved. Okay, so the first thing you might think, well, she's saving $200 a month. So I could just do 200 times 12, and that's how much she saved in a year, and then multiply that by 3 for 3 years. Well, that's not the case because she's earning interest on this as well. So the money that is put in early is going to be actually worth more at the end of the 3 years because she's putting in the money in now and it's earning interest during that whole time. So it's actually going to be what we call an annuity, a future value of an annuity. So it's going to be this formula right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this formula and we're going to work with it here. And we want to know some of the values that are in this. So the future value, that's basically, or FV, that's the future value. That's how much is in the account at the end of the 3 years. That's what we want to know. So FV is what we're going to try to figure out. All these other variables we know. It might be hard to see, so, but this says P, and then we have a bracket, then a parentheses, 1 plus R over N. R is the interest rate, N is the number of compoundings in a year. So since it's compounded monthly, our N will be 12 in this case. Then it's the power of N times T. So this is the same N as down here. So it's the number of compoundings in a year. T is the amount of time, the number of years, 3 in this case. So T will be 3. Then minus 1, close the bracket, over, and then here we have another fraction, R over N. Okay, so we want to know a few of these variables. What do they equal? So first, P is the amount she's putting in each month. So in our case, that's $200. P is 200. R is the interest rate. It's 1.7% interest rate, but I just want it as a decimal. So I'm going to put 0.017. N is the number of compoundings in a year. Since it's compounded monthly, our N is 12. And T is the number of years. So in our case, T is 3 years. That's how long she's putting in the money. Okay, so now we want to put these, basically put these values into the formula and work it out. So our P is going to be, let me make this bigger. Okay, our P is going to be 200. So let's just plug in these values into the formula. So 200, bracket, parentheses, 1 plus R is 0.017. And I hope you're writing this all down. It'll make a lot more sense if you write it all down. N is 12, close parentheses. And then our exponent here is N times T. So that's 12 times 3. I'm just going to go and multiply those together. 12 times 3, we'll just put that as 36. Okay. Minus 1. And then in the denominator, we have another fraction, R over N. So that's going to be 0.017 divided by 12. Okay, we just need to work this out and now tell us how much she has in our account. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. The first thing I want to look at is what's in this parentheses. So it's going to be 1 plus 0.017 divided by 12. So if you remember your order of operations, we want to do parentheses first. And since we have a bracket, we want to do that first. But within that bracket, we want to do the parentheses first. And then within that parentheses, we still need to follow the order of operations. So we don't do the +1 yet. We actually do this division first, right? Because dividing comes before addition in the order of operations. So we're going to do the 0.017 divided by 12. That's this fraction right here, okay? That ends up getting me 0.0014, okay? Then I'm going to add 1 plus 1. So it should be 1.0014, okay? Hopefully you're getting that on your calculator. Now we want to do that to the power of 36. So to the power of 36, that gives me 1.05228, okay? All right, and then we subtract 1. So I'm going to do minus 1 at the end of that. Okay, so this top part is 200, and what ended up in my bracket here is 0.05228. Okay, you want to go quite a few decimal places here, but I think 5 decimal places should be enough. In the denominator, we just have the 0.017 divided by 12. 0.017 divided by 12. So I'm going to write that as 0.00142. Okay. All right. I hope that made sense so far. Now what we're going to do is 200 times this. I hope you're following along with your own calculator and writing this down. And then divide by 0.00142. This will tell us how much she'll have in the account at the end of 3 years. This ends up giving us $7,363.38. Okay, so this is how much money she has saved up to make a down payment on a car. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and look at which of these cars she can afford. Well, she could afford choice 2 because you can see the down payment for choice 2, she has that amount of money, right? She has enough money to cover that down payment. Choice 3, she can afford that. And choice 4, she can afford that. These other 3 cars, she has not saved up enough money to make those down payments. Okay, so that's it. Keep in mind, a down payment is what you pay up front. So generally, when you buy an expensive thing like a car, you're going to be borrowing or taking out a loan that you're going to have to pay interest on. Now, ideally, you have a large down payment so that you don't have to take out a large loan. The larger your down payment, in other words, the more you pay up front, then the smaller amount of money you have to finance. Okay, so keep that in mind. And usually, if you make a larger down payment, not only do you have to finance or borrow less money, but you also usually pay a lower interest rate. And we're going to see that too as well. Okay, so part C. Isabel decides to shop some more. She found a model that she likes even better at a different dealership. So this car is $21,950. Okay. This car is more affordable than any of Isabel's previous choices. So she only needs to make a down payment of $5,000. So we want to write that down. Her down payment for this car is $5,000. That's important. All right. To make a monthly payment fit her monthly budget. The table details the costs of purchasing the car with and without the down payment. So we have 2 things here. In this chart here, we could see if she makes a down payment of $5,000, the price of the car, well, that doesn't change. The down payment, $5,000. So if she puts a down payment of $5,000, then she's going to have to finance the rest. In other words, she's going to have to take out a loan for the rest of the price. In this case, the amount she would have to finance is $16,950. You can see this $21,950 minus the down payment of $5,000 means she'll have to finance $16,950. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You can see with the down payment, her interest rate is 4.3% compounded monthly, and the term of the loan, 5 years. That's the amount of time it'll take to pay off the car. Now, when you're buying a car, this is probably the most important thing. Do not make try to have this number, the net amount of time, be the smallest as you can afford. Okay. You do not want to make a 6-year term loan. That means you're going to be paying off your car for 6 years. That's ridiculous. Okay. Don't do that. 5 years is the absolute maximum. I would suggest even that's way too high. Try to go 4 years or lower. That's what I would suggest. Okay. You're going to be paying a lot more money up front in that case, but you'll be paying less in the long run when you consider the interest, right? Because remember, the length of the loan, the length of time on the loan, all that interest is building up during that entire time. So you want to make sure that's one of the key things. You want to decrease the term of the loan, the amount of time. Okay. Now, if she doesn't make a down payment, you can see that's this right chart here. So the price of the car, that doesn't change. $0 is the down payment. So that means she would have to borrow or finance the entire cost of the car. Makes sense. In this case, the interest rate is a little bit higher, 4.8% as opposed to 4.3%. And it's a 5-year term. Okay. The formula to find the payment required for a present value of an annuity will give the payment needed to pay off loans, such as Isabel's car loan. Here it's used to find the monthly loan payment on a car when no down payment is made. Okay, so same idea we've done before with the annuity. Present value is PV. P is the payment, R is the annual interest rate, N is the number of compoundings per year. In this case, it's compounded monthly, so N is 12. And T is the amount of time. In this case, 5 years. That's the length, that's the term of the loan. Okay, so this is the calculation of the no down payment. So no down payment, the amount she needs to finance is $21,950. That's the present value, PV. So that's why in this formula, you could see she put in $21,950. And the R in this case is 4.8%. Notice she put it as a decimal, 0.048. That's what we're going to do too. And work this out, worked out this formula, and this would be her monthly payment in this right scenario. So her monthly payment would be $412.22 every month for 5 years. Pretty expensive. But what if she decided to do the down payment schedule, right? In this case, she's only taking out a loan of $16,950. So this next question is going to be what her monthly payment will be under this case. Okay, so let's go ahead and work that out. We're going to be using that same formula that they did right here. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this formula. And this is the formula we're going to use. In our case, the PV, the present value, is however the size of the loan. So in our case, that was $16,950, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, okay. $16,950. R is the interest rate. So that's 4.3%. As a decimal, it's 0.043. The N is the number of compoundings in a year. So since it's compounded monthly, our N is 12, since there's 12 months in a year. T is the amount of time of the loan, in this case, 5 years. So we're going to use these values in this formula to figure out how much she's paying every month in this case. So let's go ahead and use the formula. We're going to replace these variables here with these values here. So PV, that's 16,950. And we're going to multiply by R over N. So our R is 0.043 over 12. Okay. In the denominator, we have 1 minus parentheses 1 plus R over N. So that's the same as here, 0.043 over 12. And again, I hope you're writing this all down because it'll make a lot more sense. And then to the power of, it's hard to see there, but that should be a negative NT. So that's N is 12, T is 5. So these get multiplied together and it'll be negative in that exponent. So 12 times 5, that's 60. I'll just go ahead and multiply them together, 60. Okay, again, that 60 came from 12 times 5, N times T. All right, so now let's work this out. Let's go ahead and work out the numerator here. So we're going to do, and have your calculator ready, 0.043 divided by 12. And then we're going to multiply by 16,950. Okay, so our numerator is going to be 60.7375. Okay, I hope you got that same thing. In the denominator, let's work out this parentheses first. So 0.043 divided by 12 plus 1. Okay, so in this parentheses, I got 1.00358. Hopefully you got the same thing. And then we're going to do to the exponent of negative 60. So the power of negative 60. Okay. Hopefully you got 0.80685. And then we want to do 1 minus that. Okay. So I could just do -1, but it comes out negative, but it should be positive because we do 1 minus that. So it should be 0.19315. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you got that. Remember to round. I rounded the last digit there. Okay. Now we want to do 60.7375 divided by the 0.19315. So 60.7375 divided by, okay, so this will give you that her monthly payment is $314.46. Okay, so you can see with when she makes the down payment of $5,000 up front, you can see that her monthly payment goes down drastically, right? The monthly payment without doing the down payment was $412.22. Might want to write that down. That number is going to come up later. So without the down payment, her monthly payment is $412.22. But with the down payment, her monthly payment is $314.46. Okay, hope that made sense. Okay. So Isabel's monthly payment will be about, it says round to the nearest dollar. So that's going to be $314. The down payment makes the monthly loan payment fit into Isabel's budget. Besides this benefit, do you think saving for a down payment on the car was worth it for Isabel? Use each monthly payment with and without the down payment to find the difference in the total amount paid for the car in each scenario to justify your answer. Okay, so let's look back at what we had before. Okay, so if she doesn't make a down payment, what she's paying is $412.22 every month for 5 years. So how much would she pay altogether if she went this route with no down payment? So let's go and work that out. So let's just, I'm going to delete all this. Okay, I don't need any of this here. And why don't I just do this? Okay. Okay, so this is no down payment. No down payment. Okay. In this case, she's paying $412.22 every month for 5 years. So let's figure out how much she would pay in total. So we do $412 times 12 months and then times 5 years. This will tell you how much she would pay in total under this scenario. Okay. So $412.22 times 12 months times 5 years. This, she would pay a total of $24,733.20. Okay, so under this scenario with no down payment, she's going to make a $412.22 monthly payment, and this is how much she would pay over the 5 years, $24,733.20. Okay, now with the down payment, so with down payment, she's paying only $314.46. We calculated that earlier. So let's figure out how much she would pay in total in this case. So she would pay that every month for 12 months and then for 5 years. 314.46 times 12 months times 5 years. $18,867.60. Okay. Now we also need to add in the down payment itself because she did have to pay that up front. So let's go ahead and add an extra $5,000 to this. So in this case, with making the $5,000 down payment up front, she would pay a total of $23,867.60. Okay, so you can see with the down payment, she's saving about $1,000 difference here. Okay, but she has to pay $5,000 up front. So paying that $5,000 up front does a couple things for you. One, it lowers your interest rate. So that's going to be a key thing. Two, it lowers your monthly payment. So perhaps you'll be able to fit it into your budget more easily. And three, you'll be paying less money in the long run. Okay. With no down payment, you're paying more money in the long run. You're paying a higher interest rate and you'd have a higher monthly payment. The only good side about not doing a down payment is you don't have to pay any money up front, right? And you'll see advertising on the TV, 0 down payment. Come and get this car with 0 down, 0% interest for the blah, blah, blah. Okay. Even if they're offering you zero money down, you probably shouldn't take it, right? Offer to make a down payment, even if it's just a couple $1,000s. Taking a couple $1,000s off of your car loan is a big deal, right? And again, like I mentioned before, try to reduce the time of your loan, right? A 5-year loan is kind of long for paying off your car. Try to make it 4 years if you can afford it. Okay, so what's the difference here? And I just explained it, right? Then we could subtract these two to figure out how much she saves doing the down payment. Okay, so the difference in money in this scenario should be paying $865.60 more. Okay, so this is, if she goes this route, she'll be paying this much more. Or another way to look at it, if she does the down payment, she'll be saving $865.60 over the 5 years. Okay, so I want you to show and explain some of that math, right here. I showed you everything you need to know and explained it to you. And then you should explain why she should do the down payment if she can afford it. Okay. Now, a $5,000 down payment is good. She should make it even higher down payment if she can afford it. If you can afford it, pay off your entire car. Don't take out a loan, right? But most of us will have to take out a loan to get a car, but make as big of a down payment as you possibly can. That way you don't pay as much in the long run. Okay, hope that made sense. All right, with that, once you've completed that, let's go and move into the next page. Okay. So now we're going to be talking about retirement plans a little bit. In addition to saving for a car, Isabel is also participating in her employee-sponsored 401k retirement program. She has elected to contribute $200 every month to a traditional 401k. Although she's been saving the same amount for her car, her retirement contribution is conveniently deducted from her paycheck, her gross wages, every month. Okay. Which two statements describe how saving $200 every month in a traditional 401k retirement account is different from saving $200 every month for a car? So a couple things with retirement accounts. One, you put money in and there's a tax benefit for putting into a retirement account. So when you put into a traditional 401k, which is what in this case it is, it's taken out of your gross payment as opposed to the after-tax paycheck. So there's a tax benefit there, and so that's one key thing. And another key thing is that in retirement accounts, you have a certain contribution limit, and that depends on whatever your retirement account is set up with your employer, but generally it's quite a bit of money is the limit. Most people don't even get close to their limit. So that's usually not a big deal because people usually don't contribute up to the limit, but yeah, there is a limit. But also with retirement accounts, when you put money in, it's harder to get the money out. Because when you put money in, if you decide to try to take money out, there's a huge penalty usually. They take off a huge amount of that money because it's money that's supposed to go in and stay there until you retire. Once you reach a certain age, and that age is 59 and a half, then you can take money out without the penalty. Okay. But let's take a look. So I kind of explained some of these already. So let's see, which of these are true? Isabel's retirement savings are made after tax dollars. No, that's not true. Isabel's retirement savings are made with pre-tax dollars. That's true. The interest, when you take out with a traditional 401k or a traditional retirement account in general, there's that tax benefit up front. So you don't pay they take out the contribution from your pre-tax dollars, your gross income. Okay, so that's true. Isabel's retirement savings can be used for other purposes without penalty. That's false. Retirement can only be used after you hit retirement age, 59 and a half. Isabel's retirement savings have more liquidity than the money in her savings account. That's false. Savings account have a lot more liquidity. Liquidity just means being able to get the money, right? From savings accounts, very easy. Just go to the bank, go get the money. With retirement, it's not that simple because there's a penalty and everything. So it's less liquid. Isabel's retirement savings have no contribution limits. That's false. Retirements, 401ks have a retirement contribution limit. Isabel's retirement savings may include contributions from her employer. That's true. That's one of the main benefits with the retirement plan as well. Not only get that tax benefit, but usually if your employer has set up a 401k, then your employer is also contributing some to that retirement as well. They'll match a certain amount, which obviously, if you should, how do I explain this? So let's say your employer is willing to match 5% of your gross income. You should always go up to that matching amount. So if they're willing to match 5%, then put in at least 5%. If they're willing to match 7%, then put at least 7%. Whatever they're willing to match, you go up to that limit at least. Because if they're willing to match, then they're putting money into your account as well. And this greatly increases the speed that your retirement account grows. So whatever they're willing to match, you go up to that level at least. All right, that's important. So whenever you have a 401k set up with your employer or whatever retirement plan they have, just make sure you know how much they're willing to match. If they're willing to match up to a certain percentage, go up to that percentage at least. Okay, make sure that's set up. Contact your HR person if you need help setting that up. Okay. Isabel's company offers other programs and incentives to help employees with their savings and expenses. Select 3 programs that are commonly sponsored by employers to encourage their employees to save. Okay, so there's a few plans that employers set up to help you save money. A big one that's common is the Help FSA. Basically, it's like a savings account for like medical expenses. And they're usually pretty broad as far as all the different things you can get, like prescription glasses, all kinds of things. The 529 education savings plans is helping you save for education, and the direct care FSA. Those are 3 common ways. An IRA is another type of retirement account, but it's not a 401k. 401ks are the ones that your employer helps set up. An individual one, they don't help you with that. Emergency funds, they don't help you with that. And rainy day funds, they obviously don't help you with that either. Okay, traditional IRAs and 401ks are 2 retirement plans that you learned about this unit. These plans have similarities, but they also have some distinct features. To help you compare the 2 types, watch this video and answer some questions as you watch. Okay. At what age can you start withdrawing money from your retirement accounts? What's the penalty for withdrawing money early from the retirement account? So you can watch this video and it'll explain this, but I basically already gave you this answer. This is 59 1/2. Once you've reached 59 1/2 years old, there's no penalty for withdrawing. The penalty for withdrawing money early is a 10% penalty. It's a lot of money. Could be a lot of money. Okay. Determine whether the descriptions are characteristics of traditional IRA, 401k, or both. Drag each description to the correct location in the table. Okay. So for both a traditional IRA and a 401k, it's tax deferred savings. So it comes out of your gross income. That's the tax benefit, basically. For a traditional, for a 401k, you usually have a higher contribution limit. Again, a 401k is one that's set up with your employer generally, and traditional IRA is not. Okay. Organized by employer, right? I just said that, it's 401k. Penalty for withdrawing funds early, that's both. Okay, so for any retirement plan, a traditional retirement plan, there's penalties for withdrawing early. Flexibility in choosing investments. If you're doing it through your employer, you don't have that flexibility. With a traditional IRA, one that you set up yourself, then you do have that flexibility. You get to choose whatever investments you want to put your money into. But you should probably put it into generally safe investments. Penalty, yeah, they both have a penalty. Okay. By the time you're 70 and a half, you have to start taking money out. It's one of the rules. Okay. They want to encourage people to retire. Okay. Part D, Isabel's employer has recently announced that their employees may convert traditional 401k plans to a Roth 401k plan if they so desire. Isabel decides to investigate the option. She believes her tax bracket won't change from her working years into her retirement. In addition, she'd like to have more take-home pay now. Should Isabel keep the traditional 401k plan or switch to the Roth 401k plan? Use Isabel's calculations and your knowledge about these plans to explain your recommendation. Okay, so with a Roth, the main difference between like a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA versus a Roth is Roth, its tax benefit is calculated differently. So its tax benefit is not up front. The tax benefit is at the end when you take money out. Okay. Now, when you put money into a retirement account of any type, basically that retirement account grows as your investments grow. Generally, it's following the stock market. And as the stock market grows over time, your contributions grow as well in your retirement account. This goes for both a traditional and a Roth. However, all that growth that you saw, if it's a traditional 401k, when you take the money out, you're going to have to pay taxes at the end. So remember, traditional 401k, you didn't have to pay taxes up front, but you do have to pay taxes on any of the capital gains. Furthermore, if you're in a higher tax bracket, when you take that money out, you're going to be paying at that higher tax bracket. With a Roth 401k, you pay the tax up front, but all those capital gains that you get over time, you don't have to pay taxes on any of that. So if you're in a higher tax bracket later on and the amount of gains is huge, you definitely want to go with a Roth. Okay. Now, if you're young, which I imagine most people watching this are young, I suggest putting your money into a Roth because you won't have to pay taxes on any of those capital gains. So if you're putting money in your 20s and your 30s, then guess what? All those capital gains until your retirement age, all that gain, you don't have to pay taxes on it. And chances are, when you're ready to retire, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket when you're older because you're going to be probably earning more money. So for most of you guys, I would say the Roth is most likely the way to go. Now, in Isabel's case, maybe she's older. She says she doesn't think her tax bracket will be different. Also, she says she wants more money now. So she wants the tax benefit now. So for her case, she should go with the traditional 401k. And you can see her take-home pay, her paycheck is $2,100 with the traditional. With a Roth making the same contribution, her take-home pay is a little bit less. Well, that's normal because with a traditional, you get the tax benefit now. With a Roth, you get the tax benefit later when you get the money out. Okay. So yeah, so traditional, you'll have a larger take-home pay. You have a larger, paycheck. But again, I would suggest going with a Roth. It's going to be much better for you in the long run, especially if you're young and you're expecting to make more money when you're older. okay? Again, you won't have to pay any taxes on all the capital gains in a Roth. That's important. You will have to pay taxes on that stuff, on the capital gains in a traditional, okay? That's some things to keep in mind. All right, well, with that, I'll just explain why she should go for traditional in her case. And basically it gives you the reasoning right here that she'll have a larger take-home pay, which she says she wants, and her tax bracket won't change, or she's not expecting her tax bracket to change when she hits retirement age. Okay, well, that covers the entire assignment. I hope that made sense. I hope you learned something. Learned something about interest rates, down payments, and learned something about retirement accounts, both Roth and traditional. All right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and I'll try to answer what I can. All right. Well, with that, take care, and thanks for watching.